What is going on, everybody, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster. I want to thank you guys for joining me for another replay battle. Today I've got a 3 versus 3 on 3rd Age Reforged. This one was sent to me by Frost, so a big thank you to Frost for supporting the channel. Without any further ado, let's get into the army comps, then we can get into the replay itself. I hope you guys enjoy it. The first army we're going to look at today is the Haven of Dol Amroth, being commanded by Frost, and he's got a couple units of Tirithera Marksmen, some Nirindal Rangers in the back here, a couple units of Dorinardal Swordsmen, who are a decent militia unit for what they cost. They actually have a really nice attack value. Got a couple units of the Black Swan Vanguard as well, backing up some Ethelond Men-at-Arms. Also got a solid line of, I believe, 2 or 3 units of the Ethelond Halberdiers, so a lot of AP in this army. Another unit of Ethelond Men-at-Arms out in front, and then we've got a unit of Belfalos Marines here. So it looks like the Dol Amroth player was definitely expecting a lot of heavily armored units here based on his army comp. And finally, we get into his cavalry wing. He's got some Mercenary Cav, just 1 unit of Mercenary Cav, a unit of Mercenary Crossbows, and a unit of Knights of the Silver Swan. And last but certainly not least, we have the Haven Guard, which is going to be his general's bodyguard. Moving on now to his ally, this is the Kingdom of Gondor, being commanded by Derrit. He's got some veterans of Osgiliath, some guards of Osgiliath, a unit of Fountain Guard, a couple units of Fountain Guard, in fact, some Gondor infantry, a unit of the Carandros Swordsmen, backing up a unit of Elisar's Honor Guard, who, let's just take a moment and appreciate how damned cool these guys are. You know, this is very much a fan favorite unit for a lot of the Gondor players out there. Moving on, got some Gondor Spearmen over on the right wing with another unit of Gondor Infantry. Finally, we have the Cavalry, 1 unit of Gondor Cavalry, 2 units of Gondor Cavalry, 3 units of Gondor Cavalry. And that's going to do it for the Gondor army. And now we move on to their very far removed ally, perhaps a little bit too isolated. In any case, this is the Forest of Lothlorien, being commanded by Chocolate Ice, I assume. Yes. In any case, he's got some Sylvan Spears, a lot of Sylvan Spears, some Lothlorien Axemen, another unit of Sylvan Spears over there on the other wing. Got some Gladder Nobles, some Lothlorien Archers, some Ethel Tirith, more Lothlorien Archers, some Lothlorien Spears in the back as reserves, and finally a unit of Sindar Archers, which is going to be where his general is hanging out today. So without any further ado, let's see. Oh no, actually he's got some units kind of left out here as well, some Lothlorien Blades, and a couple units here of the Lothlorien Swordmasters. So that does it for Team Blue. Let's see what Team Red is bringing to the battle today. Across the field from Lothlorien, we have something of an elven showdown. We have the Realm of Imladris being commanded by Soph. She's got a couple units of Imladris Sentinels, a very solid front line of 3 units of Imladris Guardians who are fully upgraded, a couple units of the Imladris Blade Masters, a unit of Eldarinwe Heru Makil, and a unit of Eldarinwe Heru Hatal as well. Very, very elite units, but extremely expensive and rather low in number. Also have 3 units of Eldar Makar in reserve who look beautiful now that they've had, I think it was Arthelion who did the reskins for these guys. I could be wrong about that, it might have been Sin. Finally, we have the centerpiece of the army, very appropriately in the center of their forces. This is the Gwaithir Myrdain, who actually has Elrond as an officer, who, while not nearly as ugly as he used to be, he definitely has a big ol' scowl on his face. And this is also the general's bodyguard as well. And then finally, we've got a couple units of the Imladris Blade Masters and 1 unit of the Gwaithir Arthond, which is a general's bodyguard unit, and 2 HP as well, so ooh, very scary. Moving on over here, we have the forces of Dale being commanded by Crazy, and he's got a ton of Lake Town bows out here on his front line, a couple units of the Bardian Marksmen as well to back them up. So this is a very, very scary skirmish line indeed. Then he's got some Barding Herd mixed in here with Lake Town Pikemen, quite a lot of Barding Herd as well, and quite a lot of Pikemen as well. It's a very deadly front line, although it is quite vulnerable to arrows, especially those Lake Town Pikemen. They do not have a lot of armor at all, and of course they have no shields, being a pike unit. Finally, got some Dalian Cavalry here, 1 unit of Dalian Cav, 1 unit of Earls, and a 2nd unit of those Dalian Cav Lancers. I think that just about does it for these guys, unless they've got some hidden units somewhere. So let's move on now to the 3rd and final Red Team army. This is the forces of Mordor, being commanded by Sir Donald Trump. Don't read into that too much. He's got some Orc Archers, some Morn Infantry mixed in with said Orc Archers. I think he's got some Orc Fodder in there as well, a very mixed front line. Is going to be holding the line in the center. Very good thing to have anchoring your front lines. He's got the Troll Drummers, who are awesome. Very, very stylish work done by our very own Crimson Behelit. Let's just take a moment and appreciate how damned how simultaneously beautiful and also extremely ugly these guys are. Very, very high quality models indeed. Over here we have some more Mornon infantry, and then we get into the Mornon archers. Finally, we've got another unit. We've got some reserve units, rather, not another unit. More javelins, some Black Legion of Barad-dûr, one here, one on the other side. Some Mornon halberds also mixed in there with this big death ball in the center. We've got a unit of the Morgul Chosen. And finally, we get into the really, really nice stuff. Unit of Olokai, unit of Melkor's Chosen, unit of Temple Inquisitors, and last but certainly not least, a unit of Mounted Numenorian Shield Guard. So that does it for the army comps. Let's go ahead and check out the replay. And it's looking like this time, red team is going to be the aggressor. We've got Soph barreling headlong towards the Lothlorien lines, looking like she wants to get stuck in there and use that infantry that Imladris is very, very famous for. But the Lothlorien infantry is no joke either, so that is going to be a very bloody struggle, and I can't wait to see the outcome of it. Over on this end, you can see Dale moving forward in somewhat of a disorganized fashion. I think they, looks like they had some extra units in there as well that I didn't see, some party and marksmen and things like that, but it looks like maybe they're moving in to support their ally Mordor, who is moving forward very aggressively at the risk of getting themselves singled out by both Gondor and Dol Amroth simultaneously. It looks like Gondor trying to delay the advance of Dale and also attack them while they are at their most vulnerable. They are not formed up here at all, and these Gondor cavalry, while they will take some serious damage from the archer companies once they begin to fire, they are going to have an opportunity here to hit some of those very important Dalian ranged assets. Mordor going to move in, support his ally with a unit of Mounted Numenorian Shield Guard, and the Gondorian cavalry is going to need to pull out of there pretty well immediately. Looks like one of the units already breaking, having lost about half of its number very, very early on. Second company of Gondor cavalry pulling back, having taken very, very minimal losses, almost none. But that does leave a lot of forces concentrated over on this end, which Gondor is now going to have to find some answer to. A lot of cavalry, especially, and those Earls of Dale, no joke, not really something that Gondor can handle on their own. So it looks like Dol Amroth moving in with the Haven Guard, trying to fill in that particular weakness on the Gondorian right wing. It looks like Gondor had a couple of hidden units as well, some Athelian Rangers, very strong units against lightly armored foes. Not that I would call the orcs particularly lightly armored, but damn, those Rangers are taking a bite out of them. Let's see what happens to those halberds. A fair amount of damage there. Let's pop over to this end and see how Soph is doing against the forces of Lothlorians. Definitely stuck in at this point. Sylvan Spears holding up reasonably well against the Imladris Guardians, surprisingly, but they are ultimately going to lose that fight. In the center, where the Eldar are backing up the High Elven front line, Lothlorien is really, really going to struggle. Soph has definitely doubled down on her infantry in this fight. Big charge from the rear with the Imladris Guardians flattening that unit of Sindar archers. That is very painful. Also getting a piece of the spears as well. And it looks like unless Lothlorien does something decisive quickly, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. It was, I would say, definitely a mistake to have taken this many archers against a faction like Imladris, who has high shield and high armor values. And I think Soph realized that, and so she charged right in, trying to leverage her strengths while minimizing her opponent's strengths, which was a really good call. Moving on over here, looks like we have a big cavalry punch-up. Dol Amroth and Dale going head-to-head. Dalian cavalry coming in from the rear. Ooh, that's gonna hurt. Mercenary cavalry and the Haven Knights now almost completely surrounded at this point. It's going to be difficult for even Dol Amroth's cavalry to fight their way out of this one. Frost moving in with his Dol Amroth cavalry, looking to get a piece of those Dalian cav. Maybe one more shot off before they manage to connect, but it doesn't look like it's going to work out for him. Dalian cav making it into the mercenary crossbows. One final volley at close range. Looks like cut down quite a fair few of those Dalian cav, but Crazy is going to follow it up with an assault from his Earls of Dale. And now Dol Amroth is going to have to move out of the big blob with a supporting unit of mercenary cavalry, but Dale's going to turn around and chase those mercenary cavalry off. And now Frost is going to need to pull out his light mercenary crossbowmen as quickly as possible. Over here in the infantry line, things looking real hectic, although I think it's fair to say that Gondor and Dol Amroth seem to have the advantage here, especially with his Numenorian Shield Guard. Very important, very expensive unit, being locked in combat with halberdiers. Not something you want to have happen. Halberdiers are anti-cavalry and anti-armor, which is everything that a cavalry unit like the Shield Guard hates. Over here, the Legion of Barad-dûr does not seem to be able to push their way through the Black Swan Halberdiers and the supporting Dalaamroth infantry. It is important to note that the Black Legion are very, very good at pushing through lines. They're like a miniature Black Watch Legion, but in this case, it's really not availing them anything. Over here, the Melkor's Chosen wheeling back around. Looks like the Mordor General perhaps might have gotten caught up in that scrap and has now fallen, and Mordor is not going to have a good time at all. Although the Mordor Cav seems to be breaking through on this end, the Thelon Men-at-Arms aren't really able to hold them back, but there is still the problem of Dale that Gondor doesn't really seem to have an answer to. Dale has recovered from their earlier, I suppose, lapse, where they got caught out by the Gondorian cavalry, and now they have set up their entire formation, and this is not something that Gondor really seems to be all that keen on assaulting. But neither can they sit back like this, because they're getting cut to pieces. So while Dalaamroth is winning here, their wing, the entire right wing, is compromised. This fight is not nearly over yet, even if Mordor is starting to fall apart. Moving back over onto this end, looks like we have some Lothlorien Swordmasters trying to get around the High Elves, but the High Elves are just brutalizing Lothlorien in close combat, and there's not much of a front line for the Golden Wood to speak of at this point. Eldar Makar getting shot down with some very nicely aimed flanking fire from the Lothlorien archers, but it's just not going to be enough. There's so much of the infantry left, and the archers will not be able to cut them all down. Over here in Madras Blade Masters, looks like they've got a couple companies here of the Lothlorien spears that they are holding down pretty well solo simultaneously. Eldar Makar have now broken through, and they're going to charge into the flank of the Lothlorien spears, and Madras Guardians charging into the Lothlorien archers, but now the archers are going to get into close combat, and the Lothlorien archers are no joke in melee either. So maybe this fight isn't going to be quite so one-sided as I thought it was, but in the center here, where once the Gwayathi Mirrodin and things like that are unleashed on the Lothlorien skirmish line, that's when things are going to get real bad. Let's pop back on over to this end and see how the Gondor and Dalaamroth fight seems to be going for the red team. Not so great, one might say. Now, there are a lot of skirmishing forces left, and I think this is ultimately going to be a deciding factor. That's a lot of fire arrows that both Mordor and Dale can throw at Gondor and Dalaamroth. And fire arrows are extremely effective, and I would be very surprised if this unit of Gondor infantry did not rout after that volley. I think it's going to happen. It's definitely going to... it's going to happen at some point. Olokai over here, looking like they're maybe trying to find an opening. It seems that Gondor is now sallying forward here with their Ithilien Rangers now out of ammunition, and I think their veterans of Osgiliath as well. So Gondor has expended all of their ammo at this point, either fighting Mordor or trying to deal with the Dalish skirmishers. Oh, these Lake Town bowmen, if they get locked in melee, it'll be a very, very easy thing indeed for Gondor to quickly sweep them from the field. But now is the time, I think, for Gondor and Dalaamroth to go on the offensive. They could potentially, pardon me, surround this Dalish formation. I don't know if Dalaamroth has a lot of cavalry left, however. It seems like they do. Now, if they were to surround Dale and use their cavalry to run down the Orcish archers and things like that and get rid of them, then they'd be able to double-team Dale in earnest. And I don't know if Dale would be able to stand up to that all that well. Their front line is... it's coherent, but it's not in the formation that they wanted it to. The pikes won't be able to support the Barding Herd and so forth. So surrounding them, trying to crush them and envelop them might be the only hope here for Gondor and Dalaamroth. But I certainly know that this sally here by their archer companies, unsupported, is not going to do anything for them. But anyway, let's pop back over to the Elven side of things and see just who's managing to get the better of whom. Edhil Tirith being scattered now by Mordor, and it looks like the blue team are going to have a real difficult time here if the High Elves manage to break through Lothlorien and still keep much of their force intact. And it seems, now that I say it, it seems even. Seems like the High Elves have actually kind of run into a bit of a problem here, although a charge in the rear from the Melkor's Chosen, backed up with those Mounted Shield Guard. Ooh, that is painful. Yeah, still these spear companies left, and with some fear-causing units around them. Might not be too hard, even for the Elves, to be pushed over the brink and then begin to rout. Ooh, that was a beautiful charge there from Donald Trump into the rear of the Lothlorien nobles. Excellent game-changing charge right there. Over here, got some mercenary cavalry from Dol Amroth. Looks like Dol Amroth trying to project their power across the field and give their ally a little bit of a hand. I think that Lothlorien's days, however, are probably numbered at this point. And those Eldar spears fighting hard. Still the Gwythy Artha, and I believe the Gwythy Myrdain as well, who are yet to come. Unless they all died in the center, but I don't believe it for a second. Don't know where they are. That is weird. Moving back over onto this end, it seems that finally Dol Amroth and Gondor are going to be going on to the offensive. Gondor is still employing the, as you, my commander, would call it, the tactical geometry. Just kind of sitting here in this formation, not really doing a ton. Meanwhile, the Athelian Rangers are out in the field, seemingly dying for nothing. And now they are going to begin to rout. It's unfortunate because the Athelian Rangers are decent in melee and they make great supporting troops. So backing up a unit of the Guards of Osgiliath, even in close quarters, they would have been useful. Let's see here. Dol Amroth definitely being the more proactive of the two players here. Gondor now finally moving forward. They have their elites, their Fountain Guard, who can definitely go toe-to-toe with units like the Barding Herd. There is a chance for Gondor and Dol Amroth, if they act quickly, that they can surround and completely annihilate Dale. But it looks like Dale's still got a lot of archer ammunition left. Certainly a lot of companies, and now Mordor has brought their remaining forces behind the lines. And they're going to form a last stand together. But it looks like someone's general, possibly the Dol Amroth general, just got cut down by the Melkor's Chosen. So we got over here, mercenary crossbows, definitely going to be targeting down those Morgul's Chosen. Haven Knights as well, really took a beating against those Morgul Chosen. But there's still a little bit of them left, a handful, one might say. Now, I'm really curious what happened to the Gwythy Myrdain. They are not easy to kill, and I don't see bodies of them anywhere. Perhaps they're hiding back here. Nope. Oh well. It's a mystery we'll have to solve later, Scoob. So, despite the strong showing early on, it seems like the realm of Imladris, thanks to a little bit of help from Lothlorien's allies, has run into a bit of an issue. They will probably win this, but they're going to take such horrendous casualties that they might not be able to have the greatest impact in the outcome of this battle over here. But Red Team is still in it, and it looks like Dale is going to be going on the offensive here. They still got a lot of their archer companies left that they could use to pick apart the battle lines of both Gondor and Dol Amroth. What are they shooting at? This tiny company, I wouldn't even call them a company, this tiny handful of Gondor spearmen, definitely not the best target for the majority of the Dalian archers. Not too sure what that's all about. Fast forward just a little bit here. Some reserve Gondorian, or actually Dol Amroth archers, have now been engaged. The Nimrodel Rangers can be very useful against some of the more lightly armored units on the Dalian line, like those cavalry, not the cavalry, the pikemen, for example. Look at them, just poking holes in those pikemen. Really doing a lot of damage to them. And now Dale is on the back foot. I think that if Dale had pushed forward and helped Mordor all at the same time, they would definitely be doing a little bit better here. Although it was kind of a tough call. Dale was in a position of strength for a while, and they were able to kind of just pick apart the enemy lines before they decided they wanted to move in. But at the same time, Mordor was really struggling, and Dale's got a full army left, so it doesn't seem like a lot of support was given to their ally, and now the tables have turned, definitely. What we got over here? Dol Amroth Cavalry has now arrived back on scene from the fight against Imladris. Speaking of Imladris, it looks like they have succeeded in culling most of the Lothlorien forces, although a unit of Swordmasters of Karnan that I didn't see earlier, coming out of nowhere. Is this some routing from the Imladris Guardians that we're seeing here? No, definitely not. No, of course not. Imladris and Dale are on the same team. What was I thinking? Crazy. Ah, there's the Gwythy Myrdain. They did take a lot of damage, but Elrond and the general still intact. And now the High Elven forces are going to begin to push towards Dale. But will they get there in time to have any real impact on this game? I don't know. I don't think so. What do we got here? Looks like a sally by Sir Donald Trump with his orc javelins and all kinds of other nasty things to try and pick some holes in some of the more important Dol Amroth assets. These halberdiers definitely a big threat to the certain units in the Dalish line, like the Bardian Marksmen once they get engaged in combat, and of course the Barding Herd. Dol Amroth, apparently having had enough of being skirmished down, is going to sally forward here with everything they've got. Gondor lagging behind a little bit. Yeah, Gondor is definitely a lot farther back than their ally, and now Dol Amroth is going to be moving forward, potentially making the same mistake here, Gondor, that Dale made earlier, when one of their allies is very aggressive and they hold their forces back, although maybe not. I spoke a little bit too soon. Gondor now moving forward, and the entirety of the Dalish front line is going to get engaged. Big rout there from the Orc Archers. That's not going to do anything for the Dalian forces' morale. Ooh, those pikemen. Dol Amroth just massacring Dale, shoving their way right through the lines, hitting one of the weaker portions where the Lake Town pikemen were at their thinnest, and that's going to be a break right there from some of those Lake Town units, and the second unit is going to follow suit. And now Dol Amroth has broken through those lines. Molokai charging hard into battle, but honestly, all by themselves, they're not going to do very well. Already starting to fall. There was 4 of them a moment ago, and now there is but 2. Let's see what we got over here. Lake Town Bowmen doing reasonably well. I'm not sure what they're targeting, though. Tier Thair Marksman, perhaps? Yeah, I'm not sure. Bardian Marksman now being committed to the fight. Looks like the Carando Swordmasters have been driven back. These Guards of Osgiliath are a prime target for the Dalian skirmish line, but they seem a little bit distracted, shooting at those Carandros Marksmen. Bardian Marksmen coming in from behind. This is great positioning, though. Now that the Bardian Herd have fallen away, the Bardian Marksmen are free to be supported by the archers without too much danger of a lot of friendly fire. Over here, even the Bardian Herd are thinking about routing. Dol Amroth and Gondor are well and truly through the lines. Bardian Herd over on this end, very much surrounded. Where are those High Elven forces and the rest of the Dalish forces as well? Finally arriving on scene, but is it going to be enough to swing the tide of battle? I don't think so. Gondor and Dol Amroth have a lot of stuff left over. And a lot of that is Fountain Guard. That is not something that you take lightly. Let's fast forward a little bit here. Fountain Guard lining up for battle. Oops. Slowly advancing on the remaining red team forces. Guards of Osgiliath definitely taking a beating. Those Bardian Marksmen, though, about to get attacked from behind by one of the deadliest, possibly the deadliest spear unit in the game, aside from the shielded Fountain Guard, who are HP. We've got Fountain Guard backed up, ooh, by Black Swan Vanguard. That is a nasty, nasty line of AP. Those Bardian Marksmen are going to be assailed in the rear and break almost immediately. Over on this end, the High Elves, the Eldarinwe Heru Hatal, moving in against Guards of Osgiliath, but they will not be able to hold back this tide either. Dalian skirmish forces now turning their full attention on this large brick of Gondorian heavy hitters. Gwaith the Arthand very surrounded here from Soph. Let's see what we got. The Fountain Guard and Elisar's Honor Guard really getting pelted here with fire arrows from the Lake Town Bowmen. I don't know if that's going to be enough to make these guys a rout. These are some pretty elite units. Over here, Dol Amroth Men-at-Arms just brutalizing the Swordmasters of Karnan. I think they are backed up with some Halberdiers and some of the Doran Ernal Swordsmen, which certainly makes sense. The Swordmasters of Karnan thinking like they might rout. Oh, that would be devastating for Dale. That will leave their skirmish forces wide open. The Swordmasters of Karnan need to just hold on a little bit longer. Let's see what we got over here. Mladris Guardians fighting against the essentially fresh unit of Tier Thair Marksmen. Even these powerful High Elven infantry, well exhausted, are not going to have a chance against the tier there marksman. What do we got here? Swordmasters of Karnan now routing, fleeing for the hills. The Dalish skirmishers doing their best to just go for glory and go for kills at this point. Very, very even, surprisingly enough, in terms of percentages. Although it certainly doesn't seem that way. Now with the rest of these Dol Amroth units advancing on the remaining Dalish position, the red team's days certainly seem numbered. And there goes the High Elven General, hacked down by, what do you know, King Elisar himself. Elrond's son-in-law killing Elrond on the battlefield today. This is even better than Jerry Springer. Velen Men-at-Arms giving chase now to the Lake Town Bowmen. They are very tired though and getting pelted with fire arrows. This is a prime opportunity to rout some Dol Amroth infantry. Let's see if the Lake Town Bowmen managed to pull it off. Where are they going to be firing at? Nope, nobody apparently. No fire arrows being shot at these South Velen Men-at-Arms, even though there is an opportunity there to rout them. Over on this side, looks like Gondor and Dol Amroth have really cleaned them up. I'm wondering where the rest of the red team forces are. It says that there's still a significant amount of their forces left, but I'm just not sure where they are. It seems like there's much more of the blue team than there is the red team. That doesn't really explain that that very close percentage pool. Oh, it looks like Dale gonna do their best to try and skirmish, but all these units are now very tired, and I don't think that Dale's gonna have the opportunity. Ooh, the Velen Men-at-Arms almost getting routed there. Velen Men-at-Arms now turning their back, trying to regroup with the rest of the army, getting pelted down by the Dalish skirmishers. But this fight, it seems pretty well over. Dale is just delaying the inevitable at this point. Although maybe they have some hidden units somewhere. I don't know. I'm very confused. Let's see what we got. Anything in the back here? Oh, very bloody though. Look at that. Especially all along the line against Mordor. Dol Amroth held their ground really well, and this just turned into an absolute slaughterhouse. I gotta say, I was impressed with Dol Amroth. They seemed very scattered in terms of their formation in the beginning, but when it came time for it, they got the right units into the right places at the right time, and just really came together, and Mordor paid the price. Dale now trying to skirmish down as many of the Gondor and Dol Amroth forces as they can, but really there's not enough ammo left on the battlefield. They can pick up arrows for days, and they will not be able to kill a lot of these heavily armed units. Yeah, Gondor and Dol Amroth don't really have a choice anymore but to sit back and take it. Well, this poor Fountain Guard taking more damage than I would have expected. We've still got a couple thousand frames left. Very surprised by this. Fountain Guard moving forward. Looks like some of the Lake Town bows got caught in melee by the Belfalos Marines. Gondor's going to capitalize on this opportunity by going right for those Lake Town bowmen, who are now out of ammunition, and they're going to get routed almost immediately, and that is going to be game over for the red team. Maybe not. Still some Lake Town. I think now is a good time to admit that you've been defeated. Come now. Those Lake Town bows, relentless. Got to give them that. Getting charged down by the Belfalos Marines. Belfalos Marines definitely going to win that fight in close quarters. And there you have it. Very good game to everybody involved. I gotta say, I was impressed with a lot of the players on both of the teams. Soph knew kind of her enemy's weaknesses and really drove her strengths home, which is a smart thing to do. Crazy, I think, made a bit of a mistake there in not supporting Mordor, but again, he did have a nice spot where he could just sit back and pelt the enemy army, so that is that is a difficult choice to make there. But in any case, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you for whatever comes next. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.